What is up, everyone? Welcome to another stream of the it's a list of tiers, or whatever the hell I actually tried to, fancily rename a tier list, to make it seem a little less, I'd say generic's not the right word, but a little different to other people's. Whether or not it works out, that's honestly for you guys to decide. So hopefully you're all doing well. And in a minute or so, once I finish doing something in the background, I will be ready. There we go. Okay, everything's set up. There we go. Turn the music down a little bit. Right, so hopefully you all looking forward to today's stream. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be ranking every single game that is on this list for Pokemon from an S to F and never played. And essentially the ranking system is going to work as followed. And if you are in the, actually there's no point saying if you're not here, yeah, I don't have DVR on, but basically the tier system is going to work as if I enjoyed the game, what Pokemon has access to, and it's going to be kind of a mix of did I like it, and how good did I feel it was stacked up against the other games and whatnot as well. So this list is probably going to be full of hot takes in comparison to a lot of other people, because I feel like anytime you do a tier list, Pokemon is probably going to be one of the worst ones to do, purely because you are looking not at it's not that it's the scarily big fandom. It's just, it is a scarily big fandom, but that's not the point. It's what's the way to phrase it? It's I just feel like I feel like my opinions are gonna upset a lot of people, but then again, I'm kind of used to that. So right, let us get headfirst into this. If you're watching this live on YouTube, please give the video a like. If you're watching this as the VOD, please feel free to like, comment, share the video around, all that fun stuff. Let's see if we can get my live videos a lot more love and get myself being a good live streamer on YouTube, which one day I may dual cast. We'll see. I haven't decided if that's a thing I'll do yet, but we'll see. So, opening up with the original Red and Blue, the original games, the OG is the one that started the entire Pokemon empire. Ow, that hurt my fucking ears. Why is that so loud? Thank you, Leo, for the tip. Did someone just give me a tip literally just now? Oh yeah, I took that bar off my screen, didn't I? 1 minute, let me just open up Steam Elements, because apparently... Not Stream Elements, Streamlabs. Apparently I don't have the thing on there, and I also need to turn the fucking notifications down, because that bloody hurt. I don't know which one of these it is, so I'm gonna just lower all of these down a little bit. I don't know which one it is, but I prefer my eardrums are not bleeding every time that happens. Either way, if that was new, thank you very much. If that was not new and that was really old, thank you anyway, person who named, for some reason suddenly escapes me. Let me just quickly log into this, and then we'll be able to figure out what the hell's going on. I feel like I need to make sure this makes sense straight early on, and then we'll, like I said, get into the OGs, that is Red and Blue. Two games I absolutely loved as a kid. Never played them first though, so we'll go into a little bit of history and everything, and so when I explain every choice, it'll make sense. And yeah, it looks like Leo, you tipped recently, so thank you very much. Oh yeah, my PayPal on my phone. Thank you very much, dude. That's greatly appreciated. I legitimately really appreciate that. It's awesome. Thank you very much. Did not have to by any means, but I greatly appreciate it either way. Why the fuck is that still open? Okay, there we go. Right, everything should be set up now. I think I've everything set up. So, Red and Blue, like I said, they were the original. They were the, building block that essentially created the franchise of Pokemon as we all know it. And even if you play any Pokemon game to this day, they still have some of the same mechanics, obviously. But, it really shows how much, they were not ahead of their time, but, how well they built a game that can, transcend generations. So when I was a kid, I originally didn't play these games first. I won't say which games I played first because we'll get to that story when we get to it. But essentially, these were not the first games I played. And even out of the trio of games, which includes Yellow as the the two original, and then the semi spin-off or improved version, whichever one a lot of people will say improved for certain ones, but we won't say which yet. Yeah, so I actually played Pokemon Yellow first before Blue and Red, and then I eventually played Blue and Red as they were. Honestly, I still think they're really good games. I don't have any way to play them these days, or I'd probably play them every so often. Probably not as much as other games in the series, such as the ones later on. But I think Red and Blue, like as my personal opinion, I think they're really fun games. I think obviously they have a lot of difficulties these days. They're not as easy as I remember them being. But then again, I'm also really bad at Pokemon games, to be honest. Which is okay. You don't have to be good at Pokemon games to enjoy them. That's kind of like the point, isn't it? Pokemon games are there for you to just have fun. I don't know why. Okay, 1 minute. Does it flicker every time I tab out? Oh, well done, Joe. Okay, it doesn't. It's just when I tab, right? But yeah, I think Red, Blue, and Yellow are really good games, and I'm gonna do Yellow separately because it's just a third. But I'll do the two colors together, and we'll see if they get the same ranking. But honestly, like if remembering like what the exclusives were and whatnot, I honestly there isn't much I would say that matters in terms of their exclusives and anything like that. So honestly, I really like the game. So talking like using my nostalgia and using how I think the games stand today, I think obviously they're good building block games, and I think easily they're B tier by today's standard. In terms of looking at how they transcend to accessibility and stuff like that as well. But my personal opinion on them is they're definitely definitely A tier. But because I probably should stick this to more my empirical understanding of these games, as this is a a never played ranking, I love these games to bits. But as I've said, like I have no way of playing them again. And even if I was to say emulate them, whatever, if I was to buy copies, emulate them that way, whatnot, I still wouldn't really play them that often compared to other games on the list. But they were very good games for their time as well, and I honestly really enjoyed them. I can remember like countless hours, and when I eventually actually beat the game, beat the Pokemon League, it took me a long time. Admittedly, I played quite a few other Pokemon games before this, but obviously, yeah, really good game. Now, the one that this next one, I don't know if it was my first or if it was my second Pokemon game. I can never actually remember the exact timeline. But Pokemon Yellow is one of the games I have some of the fondest memories of, because I had the Pokemon Yellow Game Boy as well, which unfortunately I didn't get rid of. I just never seemed to find it again after I moved a few times with my mum and that, as we moved quite a bit. But yeah, I had the original Game Boy Yellow. I had Pokemon Yellow with it, I'm pretty sure. I might be wrong. I may have got Pokemon Yellow later. I could be wrong. I know I had the Game Boy either way. But either way, Pokemon Yellow is some of my most nostalgic memories of Pokemon. Like, it's honestly, it's like Red and Blue, but you get to play like your Ash from the anime, which is really interesting, obviously. But like, comparatively back then, if I had to choose between these three, I personally would always choose Yellow. And obviously, it improved, if I remember correctly, it didn't really improve a lot. It kind of just added a different kind of line to the story and, different way of playing. But legitimately, I thought it was a really fun game, and I still think if I was to go play any of these three games, it would be Pokemon Yellow. And this is probably one of the few reasons why you would call the third game out of a trio an improved game, as these are definitely B. Pokemon Yellow is easily an A tier game. Getting Pikachu at the beginning, getting Charmander, Bulbasaur, and Squirtle, which to me as a kid, even if I'm misremembering where I placed this, it's still amazing to get 3 starters all at once. Like, well, not all at once, but all in the same playthrough without having a friend or without having anyone to, trade with. Because when I was a kid, I didn't have as many people to play with the game with as others. I don't know why. I don't genuinely remember it being one of those things that, was ever really... I know we talked about Pokemon at school, but it was never really something we never really took Game Boys in. I think for me, when I was at school, it was Yu-Gi-Oh! And stuff like that as well, instead. So, we traded Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards more than we did anything else. But Pokemon Yellow is still what I would say is the single best Generation 1 Pokemon game. If we include, like, say, Let's Go Eevee, Let's Go Pikachu aren't technically Gen 1. They're whatever gen is just before the Sun and Moon generation, which don't know what generation that is at this point. It gets confusing. It's 6th generation, right? No, wait, we're 9 generations, aren't we? Oh, I have no clue. Either way, Pokemon Yellow is amazing, and honestly, I think it is, like I said, it's my favorite of the early Pokemon games. We're then moving on to a Pokemon game that I honestly did not remember existing until I saw this little picture here. And now that I've seen the picture, I can't unremember all of the times I've actually played this. I'm gonna double check that this is the same game I'm remembering, but if this is the one I'm thinking it is, I played the ever-living shit out of this on my thing. Okay, no, it's not. It's the second. It's not the one I'm thinking of. There is the one I'm thinking of, but it's not the original. Is the one over here. I do not remember playing the original Pokemon Pinball. I will quickly rechange that. So I'm gonna put it in did not play because I do not remember playing it, and I don't want to give a ranking to a game I've not played before. I'm also gonna change the not play to a different color. I want to change it to white because I feel like white just is a neutral color or a neutral shade. Just is basically like, I didn't do this, so I can't really give it a fair advantage. And we're also going to say that for the Pokemon trading card game. I physically cannot play Pokemon trading card game. I suck at it. I'm bad at card games because I don't genuinely like them. But Pokemon trading card game, I never played it. And I'm not even just talking, honestly, I'm talking about specifically the Game Boy Color game. Never played it. So we'll just quickly move on. We don't need to worry about this. Slowbro is number 1. Slowbro is a decent Pokemon, to be fair. Slowbro is S tier. We ain't ranking Pokemon. We're ranking Pokemon games, Sai. If we were ranking Pokemon, that would be a really goddamn long stream. There's like 1,000 Pokemon, so no thank you. I maybe do that in the future. We'll see. But moving on to Pokemon Stadium, which I played very, very minimally. I did not get the... I think it was N64, wasn't it, Pokemon? I am tabbing in and out before these, just double checking all my facts. But Pokemon Stadium, if I remember correctly, was it was the N64. I never had an N64. My childminder or child, what the fuck? What do they call them? I don't think what they call them in America. So you've got childminder in the UK. I actually don't know the name of what a childminder would be in the UK in America. Babysitter. Yeah, that's yep. And Pokemon does indeed have a lot of games, Sai, you are right. But yeah, I never had a my childminder had Pokemon Stadium, and I did play them a little bit over there, but because she had many kids and she was a childminder, looked after quite a few children. I never really got to play Pokemon Stadium. But the memories I do have of it are fond. I just honestly don't think I have enough. And I feel like I want to give it a ranking because I know it's a good game, but I feel like giving it a ranking just because I know it's a good game and not because I remember playing it as fondly, and I can't use my own, experiences to prove that point. I'm gonna put it in never played. Never played. When I change this, never played. No, that didn't work. Well, that's just gonna look ugly, isn't it? You really thought Pokemon wasn't dubbed in your country? Oh, fair enough. I mean, that's kind of surprising. It wasn't dubbed in your country. It's dubbed. Pokemon's dubbed in so many countries. You'd be surprised. I'm surprised. Not you'd be surprised. I'm surprised. But the next game, I have no fucking clue. Right, let's get the list of the Pokemon games up. I wasn't gonna do this. I felt like I thought to myself, I don't need a full list of every goddamn Pokemon game. Turns out I do. Turns out I need a full list of every Pokemon game, because if I don't, apparently I'm gonna get confused a little bit more often than I was expecting. Which is funny, because I actually did look up all of this. Pokemon video game series, there we go. So... You think it was dubbed after you start watching after you start watching TV? Fair enough. Why does this have to be why can't I just have a literal list? There we go, a literal list of Pokemon games. Thank you. So, Okay, this is clearly a spin-off game. Why the fuck is this so... Why is this so convoluted? Is it a Snap series? No. I actually don't know what game... Did Pokemon Shuffle? No, that's way too new. Oh, it's Hey You Pikachu. I don't have a clue what that is. Apparently, it's a game was in development in 1998, and it was released in 1998. Sorry, released in 1998 in Japan, in 2000 North America. I have absolutely never heard of this, so it's going in the never played. Just let's not think about it. Pokemon Yu-Gi-Oh were considered to be from the devil by parents here. Don't know how it was in other places. DKN, where was that, if you don't mind me asking? Because Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh in the UK were universally loved, would probably be the correct way to say Pokemon. Yu-Gi-Oh is probably not universally loved, but Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh did very well in the UK. Anyway, moving on to the next game, Pokemon Snap. Brazil. Ooh. Fair enough. I mean, Brazil is a very deeply religious country, as far as I remember. So that could stem from like the same issues of Dungeons and Dragons having in like the US and whatnot. But that is weird to hear. I honestly never knew that. Yes, that's actually really cool. No, not cool, but you get my point. It's interesting to find out, not knowing. Anyway, Pokemon Snap. I know a lot of people like Pokemon Snap, but I'm gonna be completely honest. I genuinely don't really care for the Pokemon Snap series. Yeah, Pokemon Snap is, given my personal opinion, I think it's honestly just not a great game, and I don't know. I understand why they made it, and I understand who it was for, but it wasn't for me. And as I have played it enough, again, it was one of the N64 games that we were able to play. I played it more than Stadium because it was, one of those ones that were like, oh, let's everyone play it. Like, so we can look at Pokemon instead of, the game that is a little bit more like Monopoly in terms of you'll piss everyone off. Honestly, I think Pokemon Snap's a D-tier game. I recall this is mostly recalling from my own experiences, and then mixed kind of with what I would consider, not factual, but what I would consider my on humble opinion, mixed in with what I think is empirical facts as well. Yeah, let's not talk about Snap too much longer, because if I do, I might get cancelled. The Church of Really Flying Anime community, damn. I mean, I can understand why you'd fight some anime. Not all anime is made equal. There are a lot of anime that is kind of, dark as fuck. Okay, I don't know why okay, let's just ignore what that just happened. Just ignore the fact that popped up. Yep, I was messing about with my settings when I was trying to look up the next game. Is this Puzzle League? Yep, the next game is Puzzle League. Never heard of it. Yeah, I've never played it. I recognize what the type of Pokemon it is, but I have never played Puzzle League, so nice and easy one in there. Yeah, Aryan, all of a sudden we are ranking Pokemon games. Why not, Aryan? I love Pokemon. It's a very big thing of me, and it's not all of a sudden. I feel like this stream reminder's been up for a few days. Leonardo, you surprised that here in Italy you never had any satanic scare about this? Yeah, you would think Italy being kind of like one of the biggest seats of like Catholicism, and I don't know how Catholic the actual country is, but yeah, I'm surprised. I managed to kind of surprise that as well, to be fair. I know the UK, again, being like I can say from personal experience, like never really gave a shit about Dungeons and Dragons when I was a kid, or Pokemon or anime. Like, we had anime on the TV as young as I can remember. I had Naruto, which I watched. I had Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT that we don't talk about. One Piece was even on TV at the time. I mean, I didn't watch One Piece, but we had loads. I feel like the UK was very progressed in the sense of like these TV shows were allowed, where other countries were like, no, we were just like, we don't care, put it on the TV. Admittedly, I feel like when I watched Naruto as a kid, I still remember all the blood and that in it, so that's probably... I can remember Naruto getting, stabbing himself with a kunai and, blood going everywhere, and then the fight with Zabuza and Haku getting, shish kebabbed. I can remember that all so vividly, so the UK must have very different, opinions on stuff like that as well, which is pretty funny, into my opinion. There is a video here in Brazil of a priest talking shit about Doom with a copy of the game. Oh, come on. Doom is literally about killing demons. I thought the Catholic Church would like that. Is it only acceptable to kill demons if you're Catholic doing it? I feel like that might be their stance. You never know. But no, I think I actually am... I'm not surprised, but I'm also kind of a little surprised. You think a game about killing zombies that is like glorifying the destruction of of demons, you know, glorifying killing demons, and you think the Catholic Church would maybe be a little bit more on side of this. Apparently not, but who knew? Anyway, let's move back to actual talking about Pokemon, as Pokemon is currently why we're here. We're ranking all the Pokemon games, and this is going to take a goddamn long time, so let's not deviate too much. Because, you know, I went to start this stream half an hour before I did, purely because, you know, I knew it was going to be a long one, and then I ended up feeling a little bit rough, so I kind of laid back down for another half hour. Then I got up, I was like, well, shit, need a shower. So, yeah. But now we're here. Pokemon Gold, Pokemon Silver, and then Pokemon Crystal. 2 games, and then what many do, again, call the improved version of the first 2. These, like, the generation of Pokemon, the additions that Pokemon Gold and Silver added to the game series, you know, they added a lot. And if I'm remembering completely correctly, Gold and Silver added... what did they add? They added... time? It was time. I had to look this up because I could not remember. I couldn't remember if time was Gen 3 or Gen 2, but they added time, they added events, Pokemon appearances, you know, new items. They, you know, kind of really changed up a lot of stuff as well. And they added what is, I would consider, 2 really, really cool, you know, box art Pokemon. So instead of, you know, in the original, where in Red and Blue, where they were like, here is 2 of the starters, and then here's a starter that's technically not a starter. And like going forward, they kind of set the stage of being like, we are going to put box art legendaries on, and these are going to sell copies of the game. And if we just look at like the actual look of the actual box art, Golden, like Pokemon, sorry, Red, Blue, and Yellow have got beautiful box art, but like Gold and Silver, they have vastly improved box art. Even though I'd say, you know, Red, Blue, and Yellow have really good box art, but Gold and Silver have much better. But specifically about the game, in my opinion on them, I never played them early. I like with the Red, Blue, and Yellow. I played them after. Yellow is still on. I still can't remember when I played that. If I remember, it was before or after a game, the Gen 3. But Gold and Silver, when I did play them, I didn't play them that much, purely because what's the way to phrase this? Purely because I was a kid playing loads of other stuff. I think. I'm trying to remember the exact year. So I'd have been playing a lot of PlayStation games as well, and I'd have been moving around a lot. So realistically, I probably played them quite a bit. I just don't remember them as fondly. But I do know that Gold and Silver are very good games, and I do think that one of them is slightly better than the other purely because of the box art. But I'm going to try and keep the 2 games together unless there's like an empiric difference that is just too important to matter. Now, I think Gold and Silver are, honestly, without like kind of going into too much extra details, again, remembering like this is partly my nostalgia, partly what I know of the game to be true, and, you know, empirically what I would say is like actual where it is. But, you know, there are loads of different like, you know, different things. Like they had, you had the random encounters you know, for the first time. You had, you know, the time they had, I think this was also when they introduced baby Pokemon and friendship leveling. It was also where you got paid Pokemon breeding as well. So, you know, Gold and Silver were a massive addition to the Pokemon series. The only reason I wouldn't say they're higher is because I still think that, you know, kind of I have to bump them down a little bit, because when you do play Pokemon Crystal, which is basically it's just the slightly better version released just after it. I don't know why they do it, but it is. I like that they make free games. So it's always very weird. Like they always had like just a little bit extra, and then, you know, refine it a little bit. You know, change up just enough to make it, you know, worth getting the new copy, and, you know, adding a new stuff to it. And I played Crystal a little bit. The reason I'm going to say I played Crystal a little bit, because it took me a very long time, and obviously I know it's just years ago now. But when I was a kid, I didn't notice that my version of Pokemon Crystal wasn't Pokemon Crystal. It was a really bad ROM hack that or a fake that I think my mother would have bought me, because I don't think, my dad wouldn't have bought me, and my mother would have bought me. And essentially I got, the longest time I thought I'd played Pokemon Crystal, and then I realized I hadn't, and then I played it obviously many years later. But I essentially all of my knowledge of Pokemon Crystal came from a fake version of the game. That when you're playing the real one, you look back and you go, yeah, no, that was not Pokemon. That was some very questionable shit I played. But I would say that from my actual knowledge of playing it, the improvements upon Gold and Silver, Crystal still goes above with Yellow. I still think I prefer Yellow to Crystal. Like if I was to choose to play one of the games. And the reason I say that is because, I'm not I do like Suicune or whatever you want to call it, but I prefer Entei and Raikou, and I feel like because, you could get them earlier, that was great, but I feel like why not put all three of them on the box? Why limit it to, just, Suicune or Suicune? I just felt a little cheaped out by that, I feel that was a bit rude. But, no, legitimately speaking, the improvements are great, but I still think, Yellow to me has that nostalgia fact, so it wins. Yeah, Pokemon Crystal bought in a dark alley, or in any game shop that didn't know what the fuck they were doing, which we had a lot of back in the day, to be fair. There was always loads of, small gaming shops that would just be would just buy stuff and sell stuff, and, sometimes I just wouldn't realize it was fake as fuck, and, they would sell it, and then you'd be like, cool, I just showed my kids something very fucked up. Admittedly, it wasn't like one of the bad ROM hacks. It was I think it was Pokemon Crystal Meth, which is one of the jokey, really bad ones. It was just essentially, you could just tell it wasn't actually Pokemon, but it was Pokemon at the same time. It's like a very kind of bad ROM hack, but it wasn't the worst I've ever played either. Now, moving on to Pokemon Puzzle Challenge. Yeah, never played this one either. I don't know what it was about the offshoot games, about stuff like puzzles and stuff like that, but yeah, never really played them. That's just an unfortunate thing, and I honestly don't. I've got to stop saying I don't know why they made them. I obviously do. I'm not an idiot. I'm able to kind of look at something empirically and just be like, I understand why people would play that, and I can still think to myself, I would not play that. It's something I can do without any worry. But I honestly never understood. I feel like Pokemon. Looking back now, I know how many Pokemon side games there are. It's honestly impressive just how many there were, and the fact that I never noticed how many there were. I legitimately did not know about quite a few of these that I've seen on there. And one of the games that for some reason I never knew about was Pokemon Stadium 2. I knew Pokemon Stadium was a thing, but I never saw Pokemon Stadium 2. So, so we're going to have to put Pokemon Stadium 2 in that, I haven't played. But I legitimately never knew that Pokemon Stadium 2 even existed until many years ago now, obviously. But, at the time, I never knew it existed, and obviously never had any way of playing it. So, we'll just put it there for now, and we'll leave it there. And now, on to good old Ruby and Sapphire. What I am pretty sure was my introduction into the Pokemon franchise as an actual game. Obviously, I'd played Pokemon. Sorry, not played Pokemon. I'd watched Pokemon, but if I'm remembering correctly, and the more I think about this, the more I'm pretty sure Pokemon Yellow was my first. So again, first or second, but the first introduction I can remember quite vividly, Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire were honestly some of the best games I ever played. I will admit I didn't play Sapphire for the longest time, as my mum bought me Pokemon. Well, I think I used my Pokemon. Either way, I bought Pokemon Ruby, or my mum bought me Pokemon Ruby when we first moved up north into the north, and we went to the local market and we went to Game, a shop in the UK called Game, and then we went back to the market again, and I kind of just sat, looking at the box, being all giddy as very very young child would, and I could just remember thinking to myself, yeah, this is going to be fun. This is going to be great. And the amount of hours I poured into it was honestly quite surprising how many hours I put into it. And honestly, I still think Hoenn is probably my favorite area or region. It definitely has my favorite starter, which is Mudkip. I do love the Johto starters. I didn't have Johto and Kanto starters. I was trying to say Hoenn and Johto at the same time there, but I do think that Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, the areas, the feel of it, the gameplay mechanics, and I'm pretty sure it was either Ruby and Sapphire or the one after Ruby and Sapphire where they did the big split of special and physical. Have a look. They and new moves, they added natures. Yeah, it's like I never pay attention to. They also added Pokemon Contest, which when I was younger was, really well. And I agree. That's what I'm going to say, DK9. DKN9. Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, with all the additions they added, are still one of the best games to this day. Easily. And the fact, you know they're one of the best games, a lot of people will tell you that that's where they started if they didn't start sooner. So, not just from nostalgia's sake, but from the fact what they brought in and, the actual gameplay, the loop and everything. I think Ruby and Sapphire are easily S tier games. They had the best box art legendaries to date out of the game so far, and in a lot of ways, Groudon to me will always be probably the best box art legendary. Maybe second best, but probably the best. Kyogre was really cool, but as a kid, I never played. Like I said, when I was young, I never played Sapphire until years after, and then even then, I never fully finished it because it was just a reskin of Sapphire Ruby to me, and I didn't care about the exclusives. Like I didn't even care about the exclusives I got in Ruby. Like, there was no real care for them. But honestly, Ruby and Sapphire were just great. Like legitimately, my partner when she moved over and moved to the UK and moved in with me, she brought over all of her DSs and stuff like that, and one game I was like, can I play, was 2. There was Black and White 2, which we'll talk about later, but the one game that I was like, do you have Omega Ruby and Sapphire? Because I played it once and I got rid of it because at the time I just needed the money, and I kind of lost interest in it. I was like, yeah, and I've been playing that, and there was Pokemon games recently as well. But legitimately, Ruby and Sapphire, I feel like it's really hard to beat Gen 3 at anything. The additions they added, everything just in general, they're such a kind of like, just generally a beautiful game, and deserve more love, in my opinion, a lot more love. Even though they get a lot of love as it is, I still think they deserve even more. And again, I can't remember if this is. I'm pretty sure my favorite evolutions came from the game. Came from Gen 2, but I never knew about them until Gen 3. So I could still consider two of them Gen 3 Pokemon, even though they're definitely not, as far as I can remember. Pretty sure both Espeon and Umbreon are Gen 1. Sorry, Gen 2. They're not Gen 1. They're Gen 2. I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna double check, trying to find them on this list. I hope if I yeah, Espeon was a Gen 2 Pokemon, it looks like. Either way, we're gonna put that on. We're gonna put that there. I never did go to do any of the mystery gifts because as a kid I never really knew how to. And to be honest, I never knew how to until I was like probably 20. I never really understood, knew about the events or even cared. But now I'm moving on to games that I have probably more nostalgia for, purely because of the circumstances around my getting of these games and kind of how close it was to events that kind of shaped who I am as an adult and kind of, were big, important events to me. So I got these 2 games, Fire Red and Leaf Green. I got a copy of both of these on the same day from my grandparents. Pretty sure. Can never remember. It might be my mum and my grandparents. Basically, it was my grandma's birthday, and because I'd moved up north previously, we went down south to see them. I saw my dad, who lived down south. My mum and my dad split up. Doesn't really matter. Long story. But essentially, I got to see them, and I surprised my grandma for her birthday. And because I hadn't been down south since my birthday, they gave me my birthday presents on that day as well. So not only did I get to surprise my grandma on her birthday, I got 2 really cool games. And if I'm remembering when I got these, and I'm gonna have to double check the years they came out. But if I remember correctly, yeah. So these came out, and I got these. They came out in the EU in October. I would have got these literally, yeah. So I've just now noticed even more realistically how kind of monumental this was. So the same year that my dad and my great grandma died. My great grandma, obviously very old, so it was a little bit different. But that's the same year my dad died, and obviously it just has such a big impact to me. The same year I got them. So to me, Fire Red and Leaf Green are, ignoring all of their kind of the great additions and everything, just from nostalgia alone, I have to put them in S. But if you look at the stuff they included these 7 Isles or Sevi Isles or whatever they're called, the islands. They included Pokemon breeding. They included, they're a faithful remake of Pokemon Red and Green, Red and Blue, whatever, Red and Green, whatever you want to call them. They included a faithful remake, You know, the you got to catch different Pokemon from Johto and stuff like that that I at the time I'd not heard of, because it was after this and I played Silver and Gold. But there were so many additions to the game that me as a kid was like, oh, these are cool. Obviously, I didn't know they were different at the time. And honestly, regional exclusives did matter in this, because I was like, oh, I want a Vulpix. Damn it, I'm not playing Leaf Green. Well, get Leaf Green, play that, then find someone to trade it for me. But basically, the amount of greatness, in my opinion, from these games and the amount of nostalgia and stuff, just it makes them too good not to rank there, because I just can't really think. There's no other way to me to explain how good they were for me. So we're gonna put them there, and we're gonna leave them there. I also actually had the Fire Red Leaf Green manual. One that I've actually saw a video. I saw a video by a creator do a Nuzlocke following the book and following it to the T, and you have to really hammer them home, or hammer them until the. So it's a phrase they use in the book a lot, but it was really, it was really interesting. Let's play as well. Fire was the first you played, and you played without reading anything because you didn't know any English. You learned while playing. See, this is what really cool about something that I also didn't get to experience because I do speak English. Is a lot of cultures, a lot of people of different countries get to learn English or learn a different language by playing games in that language. I tried to learn Japanese, kanji, by playing Monster Hunter in Japanese. Didn't work. Took me forever to get it back into English. But that is something that is really interesting. I really wish we had that a lot more in the UK, but because English is such an accessible language, we don't really have that. I call it an issue because obviously you guys, it's obviously an issue for you guys. For us, it's definitely a bit of luck. But moving on to Emerald, Pokemon Emerald is. So everything I've said about Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, Fire Red, Leaf Green applies to Emerald and then some, because Emerald is easily just the best game, the biggest S tier game I've ever seen. Not only did it improve Ruby and Sapphire, which to me as a kid I felt was impossible. Ruby and Sapphire to me were absolutely great. And then when Emerald came out and I played Emerald, I was like, wait, what do you mean? What? What? I was it was just so good. I was so impressed by everything, and just improve all the improvements coming from Fire Red and Leaf Green were put into as well. And just honestly, it's just too good of a game. It has to stay in S tier because it's just that goddamn good. And I feel like there's not much else I can say. I enjoyed everything about Emerald. I enjoyed the contest. I enjoyed the finding Rayquaza. I enjoyed the Reggies. Honestly, everything about Emerald I loved. I just S tier. It's also it is also actually factually one of the best games they've made. Now, moving on to games that I never got to really play when they came out, but I played them a lot later on. And you never got dubbed in Brazilian Portuguese? You'd feel like Brazil. Well, then again, I guess how many years ago? I don't know. I feel like that would. Yeah, I don't know why they wouldn't have done that, but fair enough. And you learned how to read with Pokemon. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, Pokemon Colosseum. The next game in this list of games that I didn't get to play when they first released, but I did play them later in time. And I actually, so this is going to sound kind of a little spoiled because my grandma, after my dad passed, my grandma kind of gave me a little more attention in terms of, she bought me stuff I didn't intrinsically need, but I asked for. And even if I didn't ask, oh, can I have this, please, 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 it was more of just, oh, I'd love to have one of those. And the next thing you know, I'd have one. It makes me come off a little spoiled, but it is what it was. I didn't, I never begged for anything, luckily, but still. I got a GameCube specifically because I wanted to play Pokemon Colosseum. Didn't get Pokemon Colosseum with it because I didn't have it in the bundle, so I got a Mario, and then I got Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, which is a great game as well. And then eventually I got Pokemon Colosseum and sold it years ago. And then I bought a copy again after a while. But Pokemon Colosseum was, to me as a kid, it was so weird because it was so different. There was, there was so much to it, so much kind of change and other kind of looks at it. It was really interesting. It was so different and not what I expected as a kid. Because, you know, you go from playing Pokemon, you know, you go from playing Pokemon, you know, on the, you know, Game Boy, you know, being in 2D, you know, not really used to the 3D, you know, if you haven't like touched Stadium before, and the whole kind of like gameplay loop and the plot and the actual story and kind of everything to it, and the fact that I got to use Embryon and Espeon, Espeon, sorry, not Espeon, Espeon and Umbreon, and the fact that they kind of introduced me to how much I loved those Pokemon as well. Like, they kind of, like, the reason I love those Pokemon so much is because of Colosseum. And honestly, the game itself is just such a beautiful kind of game for the time. Great story, great everything, you know, catching shadow Pokemon. Just, you did things that you didn't get to do in different games, and I honestly feel like it's just great. It is honestly just such a good game. And I feel like, nostalgia aside, if I was to load up a copy of this now with my GameCube that is somewhere in my mum's house, and the Pokemon, my copy of Pokemon Colosseum, which is in my house because expensive, I feel like it would be not even just a nostalgia trip, it'd just be playing a good game. Like, I don't think I'd have any real problems playing it. And I'm gonna have to throw it up in S tier. Probably above Ruby and Sapphire. While Fire Red, Leaf Green have like the real nostalgia and kind of feels behind them, and while Ruby and Sapphire have got that real nostalgia to it, Pokemon Colosseum just, it needs to be, you know, no, you know, we'll put it lower. I'm gonna put it lower. I'm gonna go against my own thing. We'll put it lower. And you know, let's have a to answer your question, DK. Pokemon. Okay, that's... There are 34 core games. That does not help. There's probably more Pokemon games, if we're honest. I feel like Dragon Ball games definitely doesn't have as many as Pokemon, if I'm honest. But anyway, moving on to Pokemon Gale of Darkness. A game I really wish I really want to say I played more. But honestly, I didn't actually ever own a copy until my partner moved in with me, and she has the copy. So as much as I want to say, oh yeah, I played that, it was a great game, realistically, what my answer would be is, yeah, I looked at that, saw a game came out, always thought Shadow Lugia looked absolutely fucking awesome. Did I ever get to play it? Unfortunately not, and I still haven't played it because my GameCube is somewhere at my mum's house and I refuse to go find it. And the next game, Pokemon Box, we're just going to put in there because while Pokemon Box is technically a game, you know, it has a disc, it has, you know, the ability for you to use it. It's not a game, as far as I'm aware. It's just, as far as I'm concerned, it's just, you know, it's just a place to put your Pokemon. How much does Pokemon games today cost in the UK? I think the last Pokemon game I bought was... So our last Pokemon game I bought was Scarlet and Violet the day they came out, and I spent 200 quid on 4 copies. So, and I did buy the double bundle, so you're looking at 50 quid a game still. 55 for them on their own, but 50 quid when they're in a bundle, technically. So, and obviously the reason I bought 4 is 1 for me, 1 for my partner, and then 1 each for my siblings, my 2 younger siblings who play Pokemon. But in case anybody wonders why the fuck I would need 2 copies of Scarlet and 2 copies of Violet. Now onto the game that I thought was this game, Pokemon Pinball. Pokemon Pinball is an absolute masterclass of a game that should not be as fun as it is. And I say that not because I feel like it's, you know, it was... I feel like I say it purely because I remember playing the ever-living fuck out of it and never really understanding why they made this, why they needed it, or anything like that. Like, one Scarlet was 400 US... 400... Wait. What's your currency? Brazilian currency. Brazilian real, so... Yeah, it's about right. I mean, 400 real sounds horrible, but I don't know how much you get paid monthly. So that, like, 55 quid to me and 404 looks right, but whether or not that obviously is depending on your actual country, that obviously Brazil, I don't know the economic situation, and I don't really tend to talk about politics if I can help it. So, because yeah, that's what I was expecting. Yeah, I was expecting the context there. Minimum wage should be 13.18. That's not great. But anyway, let's talk about Pokemon. Let's just try and keep on topic. Talking about Pokemon Pinball. the Hoenn and Ruby and Sapphire one. And like I said, I just played it extensively for no apparent reason. It was a great game, enjoyed the hell out of it. I honestly could not tell you why I had so much fun playing Pokemon Pinball. But honestly, I think compared to like the spin-off games that I have played and the ones I haven't played, I honestly think Pokemon Pinball's a B, purely because it's just so much fun. Like I can't explain to you why I had so much fun with it, but legitimately I enjoyed the ever-living hell out of it as a kid. And you know, as a game that, you know, I think the only reason I would have ever been bought it is because it literally just said Pokemon. So I'd have literally just played it for that reason. And like looking at some pictures of it right now, I'm remembering fond memories of playing this on road trips, which in the UK ain't exactly as long as, you know, anywhere else, but like still the amount of like cool little, you know, pictures that and how much of nostalgia you can get from just a little picture really says a lot. And I probably will have that picture somewhere. Not picture, sorry. I will probably still have the copy of that somewhere if I was to look hard enough. But yeah, we're going to put it in B. Bottom of B because I don't want to disrespect red, gold, silver, red, and blue. But it is up there. The next Pokemon game, I think this is Pokemon Ranch. I'm going to try and find... Jesus Christ, there's way too many other games, is it? No, it's not enough games. Okay. Yeah, so I'm looking at the Wikipedia trying to find all of the stuff so I can yeah, those are all oh wait, what the wait, is it? No, it's not Playout version 2. Other games? No. I actually don't think I know what game this is. This is the problem. I can't really see. I wonder if I zoom in. Will that help? Oh, Pokemon Channel. Right. Let's see if we can find Pokemon Channel on the thing. Probably not a good idea to put Pokemon in first. Okay, Pokemon Channel's on the Pikachu. Yeah, no, I do not remember this game. Yeah, no. Unfortunately, I can't rank a game that I've not played because that would be disingenuous, so put it straight into not played. And then we move on to games that I played so little that I can't talk. I'm gonna talk about, but I'm not gonna say they're, you know, I'm not gonna say how good they were. But Pokemon Mystery Dungeons, there is a Mystery Dungeon on this list that I did play extensively, but this isn't it. But the original Mystery Dungeons, from what I understood, were really good games and, you know, really cool changing concept. I just never played them as a kid. I think by this time, I was still definitely very involved in Pokemon because I was looking at the next releases. I know I was still involved with Pokemon because I got those. And I remember asking for them and getting them for Christmas at my auntie's. I got one from my mum and one from my grandma. Yeah, I don't know why I got to get both. I just did, which is lucky for me, I guess. But yeah, the mystery teams, to this day, I still don't think I've only ever played a demo of Pokemon Mystery Team Blue or whatever, the Mystery Dungeons Blue. And that was the one that I don't even know if it is. No, it's not. It's not. No. The demos of this one here. So yeah, I never played them, which is a shame because again, I've heard they're really good. I just never got to play them. You win some, you lose some. Too many Pokemon games. That's kind of the problem. But moving on to what I would say is kind of like the turning point for me of games where I started to go from playing a lot of Pokemon to, you know, instead of like, you know, being like a sharp incline of how much Pokemon I play, it kind of slowly starts to taper off. We don't taper off just yet. Like, there's still got quite a few games until I kind of like start going down in how much I play Pokemon. But Pearl and Diamond, when they came out, I played them I played both very extensively. I had 2 saves, one with a Chimchar and one with a beautiful little Piplup that would eventually help me get a shiny Piplup without even realizing it, because, you know, me back then didn't have a fucking clue what shinies were, even though they were introduced in Gen 2. Well done, Joe. I feel like they were a very good and nice change, and I feel like they innovated in a way that as a kid, I definitely enjoyed. The more I grow up, the more I'm like, you know, thinking to myself, Diamond and Pearl were okay. The new features, like, you know, the bottom screen was nice. It was lovely because you're on a DS now. Do like the smartwatches and stuff like that. You know, you also had Pokemon contests again, which was nice. And and you know, and the day-night cycle, and also physical and special were. It looks like they've actually changed it it was for 5th generation where they finally changed this. Wait, this isn't 5th generation, Joe. This is 4th generation, you dumbass. Yeah, this is when they changed it. Yeah, I remember now. But I don't know what it was. No matter how much I played both of them, and I loved both of them, and you know, as many kids back then, you know, we got the flute, we got a Arceus the illegitimate way because, you know, being in the UK, there was no way for us, as far as I remember, to get one legitimately. So we know we had Game Shark and stuff like that to get them. Honestly, I think they were really good, and I played a lot of Diamond and Pearl. But honestly, the nostalgia isn't there, and compared to all the other games, as much as I like Diamond and Pearl, and I think Sinnoh was a great region, I don't think they can go higher than a B, purely because they're not A tier. They're not perfect. S tier is like beyond perfect. A is near perfect. And as much as, like I said, I like them, I play them a lot, and to answer your question, DKN, I basically just decided on the day. I had no way of deciding. I just literally picked up one, was like, this one today. I honestly couldn't tell you how I played what game. Same with, like, in the last few years where I've had more than one Pokemon game at a time. I've just played whichever I've, like, instinctively felt like in that second. But Diamond and Pearl, honestly, I think even though I, you know, finished them and, you know, enjoyed the hell out of them, and that was when you could start playing online as well, which was nice. Like I could start playing online anyway. I just don't have the same nostalgia, and no matter how good of a game I can think they are, because I've got to balance how good they are as actual games empirically and also my opinion, I get to change, you know, I get to level that out a little different. Honestly, really good games though. Honestly, really good games. Now moving on to the one that is probably gonna get me, not hate, but people are gonna be very confused that I've never played. I never actually got to play Pokemon Crystal. As a kid, I never got to play it. And as a grown-up, I have never played it. Pokemon Crystal remains the only Pokemon game of, any Pokemon game like of a trio that I haven't played. I played Crystal technically, and then I also did actually play it later on. But out of all the trios, this is the first trio of games I never got to play. And I can honestly not tell you to this day why I've never played Pokemon Platinum. I definitely was still into Pokemon at the time. Because the next release is very indicative of that. I was into it. I definitely, you know, I just don't know why I never got it. Giratina's really cool. To this day, I still don't know why I never played Pokemon Platinum. Because as far as I know, Pokemon Platinum is literally just an improvement on every single facet on Pokemon Pearl and Diamond. It also fixed the AI and, you know, made the teams a little bit bulkier and, you know, made them a little bit harder to beat. Which would have been really cool for me as a kid, but unfortunately, I never got to play it. And I know that sounds really bad, like, oh, I never got to play it, woe is me. I mean, it's legitimately just like, I kind of wish I'd got to play it as a kid. I understand, like, obviously, you know, you don't get what you want, but it'd be really cool, and I think I'd enjoyed the hell out of it. The next is, I'm trying to find it. I don't actually know what it says, given how piss poor my reading skills are. Gonna have to zoom in again. I think that says Pokemon Rumble. Actually, my reading skills are not as bad as I would expect. Quickly search for Rumble. So where's Pokemon Rumble? Oh, it's a beat 'em up game. That is a shame, because I've definitely never played Pokemon Rumble. Couldn't even tell you, obviously outside what I know now, I couldn't honestly tell you how good of a game it is, what it is, so. Next up, a game that is, I think for the longest time, I considered this next game not just my favorite Pokemon game, but like it let you do so much, and it gave you such a it wasn't just a short, not a short game. It wasn't just like a beat the Pokemon League and then, you know, here's some end game stuff. It was, you know, you got the end game stuff was essentially like not a full repeat of the game, but it was like, you know, a very big 8 more gyms, and then you can go, you know, fight Red. Gold and Silver, or Heart Gold, Soul Silver, were honestly really good games. You got Pokemon following you, like you did in Pokemon Yellow, but they actually got to be any Pokemon that was your first in your party. You got the Pokewalker, which I actually used quite extensively as a kid. Knowing my luck, there is still a Pokemon trapped in my Pokewalker that I don't think I ever sold my Pokewalker. I think I legitimately just kind of forgot about it. The Pokethlon, which I honestly do not remember as much, to be honest. And, you know, the Safari, which, again, I don't remember the Safari being as in depth as the Wikipedia is saying, but I legitimately, honestly think that, you know, Heart Gold, Soul Silver was, honestly, like Fire Red and Leaf Green, it wasn't massive, it was honestly an improvement on the original, in ways that kind of like, you know, it wasn't just like, oh, it's like the same game and then made newer. It was honestly, in my opinion, quite an improvement. And as such, we're going to put them in A. The reason they're not S tier, I'd say they're definitely, I would say they're top of A tier. I'm going to also swap those two around because, you know, I prefer silver over gold. The reason they're not S tier is because I don't have the same, again, I was getting older, so my nostalgia factor is kind of losing in my, while I know they're great games and I play them with a heartbeat, they're still not, like, honestly as good, and like I wouldn't have the same reaction I would have. And realistically, like, looking at the back of them, if I was given an option between all of these games, I'd honestly choose, again, any of the S tier I choose over them, no matter how good these games are. But Pokemon Soul Silver was amazing. I didn't get to play Heart Gold for a while because I didn't own Heart Gold, but I eventually did, and never been the biggest fan of Ho-Oh. I don't know why. I feel like Firebird's a bit boring, whereas Psychic Water Beast, that isn't technically a water one, always kind of like, you know, was like, to, you know, made me want to play, and it made me enjoy myself. So yeah, then Pokemon Ranch. And that's a Wii Pokemon game. Never played that one either, which... So let's have a look at these quickly. Pokemon Ranch and then Pokemon Battle... Wait, actually, no. Did I play Pokemon Battle Revolution? I might have. Oh, okay, 1 second. I might have indeed played Pokemon Battle Revolution. Let's, Okay, let me just, Battle Revolution. No, I did not get to play that. Okay, no. Looking back at it, no, I did not. Okay. Had to double check, but I recognize the title thing. Now, again, just moving on. So the games are like, if you think it's weird that I'm not talking about certain games, even because I've not played them, I just feel like there's no point talking about games I've never played, because, you know, I've never played them. I can't really have an opinion on them. Like, I can, but I shouldn't, because, you know, I've never played them, so why would I have an opinion? Next is Pokemon Dash. I'm gonna hate that I have this opinion of Pokemon Dash, but honestly, Pokemon Dash was a fucking great game. I don't know why it was a good game. Like, legitimately cannot remember why I enjoyed it so much, but Pokemon Dash, I feel like, again, it's one of those Pokemon games that, because it's not like a actual Pokemon game, is, you know, you run around, you fight and stuff like that. And I also got this with my DS when the DS's came out, which I now think this is weird because I'm pretty sure, yeah, Pokemon Dash came out before the ones we've just done, Heart Gold and Soul Silver. So I don't know why it's here in the list, but yeah, like, Pokemon Dash was always just a really interesting game. I don't know why I enjoyed it, but like, I honestly find it to be one of those games that, because again, it's not a Pokemon game in the strictest sense. Like, you know, it's not like, you know, you go battle. It's, you know, you run around with Pikachu racing stuff, and it's like a little race game as Pikachu, you know. And I thought it was really cool. It was like, you know, it was cute. It was a cute little game. Go to search. I'm gonna put it in C. Like, again, nostalgia's really winning on this one. Actual gameplay wise, it probably was not the best game they've ever made, but I enjoyed it a lot as a kid. I definitely just would not have, you know, if I had to choose it these days, I wouldn't have chosen it compared to other games, but it's still a C-tier game. Like, you know, I would pick that up today and play it. I wouldn't play it very much, but I'd play it. Okay, another one was that Pokemon Ranger? Because I know where Pokemon Rangers can go. Yeah, Pokemon Ranger games, straight in here. I, unfortunately, never got to play the Pokemon Ranger games. through no fault of my own, and no fault of anyone else, I just never knew they existed. You want about the Pokemon plot of... Don't call me bro, Jamie. That's just weird. But, the plot of what? Dash or Ranger games? You want me to tell you a Pokemon, Cuba? But you're not the one rating them, Cuba. I'm rating them. I give you a solid thing, but I'm gonna keep rating my. I'm gonna keep rating. I'm the boss here. But yeah, the Ranger games. I mean, you can say they had a good plot, but I never. Do you have them? Because if you have them, Jamie, I'll play them. But if you don't have them, then I can't play them. Just saying. But moving on to the only Pokemon Mystery Dungeon game I have ever actually played, which is fucking impressive to be honest. You have one, fair enough. Pokemon Mystery Dungeons: Explorer of the Sky. A game that I played on holiday because I refused to go to onto the beach because, you know, I don't like sand. I played the ever-living shit out of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Sky, or whatever it's called. I'm just going to Explorers of the Sky, whatever. Played a lot of it. Honestly, couldn't tell you if it was a great game or not. I have no nostalgia on it, but, like, looking back, it was interesting, but, again, it's like Pokemon Dash. It's like one of those things to me, it's like a novelty. It was definitely better than Pokemon Dash, but it's not, you know, comparable to actual Pokemon games in a lot of ways. It's just, it was a cute side game that I played a lot and thought, this is cool. And then kind of just moved on with my day. Because what else would I do? You know, they're just okay. The next on the list is, again, I've never heard of Pokemon Trousel, so we're going to put you there. Right, what are these? Pokemon Pikachu's Adventure. Okay, I've not played the next two games, so we can immediately put those into this one. Looking back at this now, there's a lot more Pokemon games I've not played than I thought. Then again, there's also a fuck ton more Pokemon games than I thought. I did not expect the list to be this goddamn long. The good thing is, there's a lot of these games that I can just immediately put into never played a little, because I know I've not played them enough. But I like to go in order. But Pokepark is fun. I've just never heard of it, to be honest. Tosei is like a Pokemon arcade game where you match the heads and they jump down the screen. That sounds absolutely fucking shit, to be honest with you. Or Tosei. But anyway, moving on to Pokemon Black and White. The Pokemon games that essentially was the pinnacle of my young Pokemon playing. The game that essentially came out, I loved to bits, and then kind of just fell off playing Pokemon. It probably also goes to show that I didn't play as much Pokemon afterwards, because I only got one of the Pokemon games. I got Pokemon White. I got Zekrom. I absolutely enjoyed the hell out of Pokemon Black and White. I do think Pokemon Black and White was like, it kind of added a new level to the game. Like, and again, it's like every time they release a game up to this generation, everything's kind of improved. You know, they added new triple battles and rotation battles, which I absolutely sucked at. And they added, you know, not only did they add like a beautiful region, they added some really nice Pokemon. The actual Pokemon you start with are really fun. They add, you know, the different they add, just I'm trying to like off the memory remember everything while also using this. They're trying to read something as well, just trying to get through everything. But yeah, I can remember playing them a lot, and I can remember actually, you know, I can remember why like this was after when my interest started going down. But like the games themselves, story-wise, were really just legitimately very, very good. Graphics, honestly, great because they were, I think, free. Yeah, they were like mostly for them. I think it was still the 2D art style, but like a heightened 2D, like, you know, 2D plus two 3D. So it's like it's an in between of 2D and 3D. But yeah, I just remember it fondly, and I can't really remember why it was so a good game to me. But honestly, I feel like, you know, I'm going to put Black up there. I'm going to just put White with it, because there's no reason for not to put them together, because they're essentially the same game with a little difference to them. I think that I've not split up any of the two games that come out together, because there's no reason to. I put Dream World right there, because I've never played it. Really, there's more Mystery Dungeon games coming. How the hell are there more Mystery Dungeon games? Black was the first game, and first and only game you played without an emulator? Fair enough, dude. Honestly, it was a great game. But Black and White 2... Now, I have technically played White 2 recently. even though I've only got up to the 3rd gym, so I'm not going to include that on. I'm going to not include these on this list because I feel like I haven't played them enough to give them an actual rating. And let's just kind of chuck all the games in this list now that I haven't played, which is weird. I'd have loved Pokemon Conquest as a kid if I'd have realized it existed. Unfortunately, didn't know it existed. Just gonna have to zoom in a little bit more here. Just Pokepark 2, never played. There we go. Look at that. See, nice and quick to the next mainline Pokemon game because my dumbass hasn't played as many Pokemon games as he thought he had. This idea slowly starting to crumble now that I've realized I've played less and less Pokemon games than I expected. Good for me, I guess. For Pokemon X and Y, the first Pokemon game, like after obviously the first mainline game that I came back to after Black and White 2, because Black and White 2 are mainline games. They're like a sequel. Obviously, they're a sequel to the first one. I remember seeing X and thinking, oh, I'm probably not going to play this Pokemon. Then I saw Y and I was like, okay, Yveltal is really cool. That's a really cool Pokemon. It, you know, as a lot of people say, it looks like bacon. Who doesn't love bacon? But no, legitimately, I remember seeing X and Y and thinking, I remember seeing X and thinking I wouldn't be interested in. And then I got Y. Obviously, when I saw Y, I got it. I was like, okay, I'm going to get, you know, if I get Pokemon, I'm going to get Y. And honestly, it was a really good game. It added Mega Evolutions, which is still to this day one of the best things they've ever added. It added, you know, Yveltal. It added the really cool Chespin. Fennekin and Froakie can go fuck themselves. But Chespin, absolute player, you know. But the main thing it added, and the reason why I think it like sticks to me as like a really good game, is because of the Mega Evolutions. And obviously, it was a fully 3D polygonal graphics, which is honestly, I could take or leave the graphics, to be honest. But as I played the game and as I you know, got through it, and we also got to use a new type Fairy, which was very weird because, you know, I never really used. I feel like I encountered it, but I never really used it. I know you encountered it because there was a gym, Fairy Gym, but as good as the game was, and as peak as Mega Evolutions are, you know, when it comes to gimmicks, I feel like X and Y, story-wise, actual gym-wise, and kind of like just Pokemon, other than like, you know, the really cool ones they added. Like in general, the actual spread of Pokemon they chose are not the greatest. As much as I want to say like X and Y are great games, they're legitimately C tier. Like they're okay, but honestly, there are better games than X and Y, and I feel like X and Y, out of all of the mainline games I have played, are definitely the weakest. Easily. Even though Mega Evolution was such a big thing, you know, such a big change for new graphic types, and you know, all these additions they added, it's just, I feel like it was not enough, in my opinion, to like make it the best. It felt like it was too easy. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't mind Pokemon being easy, but there's a point where, you know, it's too easy. Like, if I can Mega Evolve and no one else does bother with it, and if they have like 2 or 3 Pokemon, like at most, even late game gyms, you get to the point of why, like, it's just too easy. X and Y was fun with new Pokemon, but just revolutionary with it being the first gen, being 3D. Exactly. Like it legitimately had its merits, but its merits did not hold on enough. Like it had what it had, but all the things that it didn't have were the problem. Were like the reason why it didn't do, in my opinion, as well as it could have. But moving on to Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby, I'm gonna pop these two down here. Because again, while I am playing Omega Ruby, and I've put that on pause at the moment because I've honestly been busy doing other stuff, I don't want to rate them because I haven't played them enough. Don't get me wrong, they are a beautiful remake of the games, and they've added new stuff. They've got Mega Evolutions, they're really goddamn fun, but I can't then put them on the list because I haven't played them properly. I'm not gonna put them on the list. Never played Dream Radar, don't know what that is. Pokemon Bank's not a goddamn game. I feel like this list has taken me less time than I expected, which is good because it means I can go do some other stuff. Never played Rumble. Never knew you existed. I'm just going to move all the ones that I've never played out of this. We're going to leave mainline games in, even if I haven't played them, because I feel like that's just easier. That's a mainline game, Joe. Probably not going to take me long to chuck out. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck you are. Oh, that's Top Pokken, I think it is. I don't even know what half of these fucking things are. Like, what the fuck is... Like, what's... Okay, no. I have played Pokemon Quest. Not a lot, but I have actually played Pokemon Quest. There we go. Because apparently the never played tier needed to be even bigger. Now, moving on to the next mainline games, the games that, again, I think X and Y, while my like interest in Pokemon games was already deteriorating by X and Y, and obviously because of I never bothered with Black and White 2, and with X and Y, I only got X and Y because I only got Y because I saw Yveltal. When I saw Sun and Moon 3 years later, I didn't give a shit. I was in uni. Yeah, this was legitimately my second year of uni, my first year of uni, because I'm pretty sure. No, wait. Yeah, no, I think that's my first year uni. So I'd have been busy at university playing, you know, more PlayStation games and stuff like that. I never really bothered with my DS at this point. Not to the point where I kind of wasn't in Pokemon mood anymore at that point. I was out drinking, doing, what I would consider adult activities, getting drunk and stuff. And I'm gonna say for the same with Ultra Moon and Sun, and like all the Sun and Moon games, including the Ultra ones. When the little information I did kind of pay attention to when I heard the new games were coming out, because even if you don't you still keep informed on fandoms you're enjoying. And I enjoyed the idea of like a new Pokemon game, but then I found out there's no Pokemon gyms. There's no, it's very much a change from the traditional play style. At first, I was like, okay, that sounds cool. And then I kind of learned about it, and honestly, I'm very glad I never picked it up, because I don't know why people enjoy them. And again, I know why, but like I'm saying it like rhetorically. I just don't find the reason why how I could enjoy it like other people do. And the same goes for like the Ultra Sun and Moon games. I don't know why. Like I get kind of like the idea of them, but I feel like the lack of gyms just to kind of change it into a more like, oh, you do the Kahuna battles, and then you do the Totem Pokemon, and there's different mechanics, and I feel it's the first time like new mechanics were not an interest to me. And I just kind of looked at them thinking, eh. What I do know is they did introduce like the Pokemon Pals, or the Pokemon that would like take you places, so you didn't have to go, have a Pokemon that did stuff for you. You didn't have to have a Hemchame slave. So, while I think they're okay, never played them personally, so I can't really rate them. Let's go Pikachu and Eevee. This is when I was actually... so these games started coming in, like Pokemon Let's Go Eevee started going in. If I remember correctly, again, I'm going to have to double check the actual release date. Yeah, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee was when I... Hold on a minute. I think they were my... I was not working at the time, but I was volunteering in what would eventually be the place I started working when these came out. And I think this is when just before I started, these came out. So just after I started, these came out. So I remember being there when they were out, because I remember seeing the special Switch for them. Honestly, when I saw them, I was like, I was interested at first until I realized they were just Pokemon Go, but in the Pokemon game. And like Wild Battles, to me, I don't know why. Without Wild Battles, I just felt like Pokemon wasn't Pokemon. It was just Pokemon Go, and I just didn't want to waste my time, playing it. And I never did. So I can't intrinsically rate whether or not these guys are good. So I'm not going to. However, Pokemon Sword and Shield I did buy when they first came out. And I bought them the day they came out, because I'd now started working at the shop then. So I bought Pokemon Sword and Shield the day they came out, and I gave, if I remember correctly, I gave them both to my siblings. I didn't buy one for me at the time. I bought me a copy later, if I'm remembering correctly. I could be wrong. I do not. Wait, did I buy it for? No, I bought sword for myself, and I bought Shield for my brother. There we go. And yes, Sword and Shield is indeed based on the UK, which is really cool. When I first played Sword, I'll be honest, I enjoyed the hell out of it until I got like to the Champions Tournament. Then I stopped playing and I didn't play it again. Then when I got a new Switch, I played it again, and obviously I had lost all my progress, so I got decently far, and then I stopped playing until recently. Now, I know a lot of people don't like Sword and Shield. They feel like the wild area was a bit shit. Generally speaking, I feel like it gets a kind of mixed favorable result, like kind of opinion on it. And like all the stuff they added, in my opinion, was really good. Like, they added the big wild area, which I think was actually, when I first went into it, I was like, a bit shit. But then the more you play it, the more I kind of realized how cool it was. And honestly, the new styles, the new way of playing the game, Dynamax and Gigantamax was pretty cool. Not I'm not saying I overly used a lot or even cared about too much, but it was still cool. And you can now camp and feed your animal. You can feed your Pokemon curry, do Pokejobs. The additions made the game really neat and stuff. And honestly, it was a very fun game in general. It was good. I will say it's not as shit as X and Y, but I feel like Sword and Shield to me go here. It might be because it's more recently in my brain that I played it, that I'm giving it a higher opinion. But it was good. Actually, no, we'll put it above Pinball. We'll put it there. You made it to the stream. You made it towards the end of the stream, Akshat, which is unfortunate. You worry if I die once? Hi. Why is it my streams always get more people when I'm near the end? This is just ridiculous. People just want to see me leave. But yeah, X and Y. Sorry, not X and Y. Sword and Shield, B tier game. It definitely could have been better. If they'd have. Honestly, if the Switch was better, the games would have been better because they'd have been able to use, they'd have been able to actually run smoothly and, not cause people to think, oh, why is it lagging? That does come into fact with another game that I think is actually really good. But moving on to Legends Arceus, I played Arceus for all of an hour and then I gave it to my brother, so I'm going to put Legends Arceus down here. However, I have seen a lot of Legends Arceus and I know it's a great game, so do not take this as not played as an actual ranking. It's just I haven't played it by fully myself. Now, the next game in India, mate, time is a relaxing time, hence late coming. No worries, dude. I mean, you don't have to apologize, dude. It's just, it was just a joke, my friend. Don't worry about it. Do not worry about it. Yes. The next games that I bought these specifically for my siblings because I didn't bother buying them for myself. And then I borrowed one from myself. I borrowed, I think it was Diamond, Brilliant Diamond. And honestly, a remake of a game that people have been asking for that people didn't generally like, I legitimately thought they were basically better versions of the remake, a better version of the original. But because they're actually legitimately faithful remakes and they're literally just a remaster, they're not actually even a remake at this point, they're just a remaster. They are literally so faithful to the point that they still have the same issues that Pearl and Diamond had. Is this tier list fan games too? No, only actual games, dude. Only the games that Pokemon have released themselves. If it's Pokemon fan games, I wouldn't know anything about them because I've never played them. So that unfortunately disqualifies me from really talking about fan games. Now, on to what is the last mainline Pokemon game that, in my opinion, is probably going to be something that people get really upset at me. Because genuinely speaking, I really, really like Scarlet and Violet. I am very, very, very behind Scarlet and Violet. I think they're ignoring the fact that, the Switch is honestly a god-awful console these days compared to, the actual power necessary and the how strong every of its competitors is. If it was just a little bit more powerful, just enough to make no games lag, honestly, it'd be perfect. But yeah, Scarlet and Violet, the gameplay loop, the kind of ability to just run around doing whatever you want and not have to feel kind of, restricted, was kind of like the big reason I actually got the game and I bought the game for myself, actually buying it for myself. Because generally speaking, that was a big thing for me, just getting the game, being able to just do something that I hadn't been able to really do before. The new Pokemon they added, the general, even the terrestrialized Pokemon, which generally speaking, I don't think it's the greatest. It's still a decent thing and isn't overly cumbersome. It's not overly annoying. And at least people fucking use it. But generally speaking, I think story-wise, having completed this game recently as well, and indeed for Coco is indeed cute as hell. Scarlet and Violet, to me, and again, this is my personal opinion, they're A tier. I love Pokemon Scarlet. I finished it recently. I finished one of the DLCs. I'm kind of taking a break from doing the latest DLC, or the last DLC, the Indigo Disc. But legitimately speaking, like, it's all, ignoring all of its negatives, if you ignore the lag, it is a great Pokemon game. But the lag and the FPS issues and, you know, the fact that it's kind of fraught with problems is the reason I think people think it's a bad game. But I honestly think it is probably the best game they've made since Black and White, as my list dictates. You know, it is, genuinely speaking, just such a great game. And it's so open world. You know, there's like the raids I hated in Pokemon Sword and Shield, I loved in Scarlet and Violet. I actually felt they were fun. And it's just, generally speaking, a much better game than the previous generation. You have a laptop with a 3050 graphics card, 6GB with 1250 HX. Recommend you a game. What type of games do you like, dude? I mean, I can't really, you know, if you're asking for a game recommendation, you know, just play Bannerlord, play any of the games I've played on the channel. You know, just, you know, I don't really have a recommendation unless you know you want specific recommendations. Games like Pokemon that have such an amazing world building and don't let you explore should be a crime. So the thing is, I agree in part. Like, I love the exploration, but I also understand why some games that they, you know, are more linear in terms of, like, you know, you can't just go where you want whenever you want. Because, you know, it's not always easy to go where you want and whenever you want. Like, it's become something that's a lot easier to do these days. But I legitimately love it. It's honestly a great game, and I think that's the fairest way I could put it. Now, onto Pokemon Go. That's my opinion of Pokemon Go. Not only is that my opinion, that's how I feel the actual game is, you know, just generally there. Pokemon Go is an F tier game. I feel like it's great in terms of, you know, get you out and going, but I feel like it's just not fun. Like, intrinsically, like, oh cool, I can go out and go to the stop. But if you don't live somewhere there's a decent amount of Pokestops or a decent amount of, like, you know, kind of the infrastructure you need to play the game, it's kind of pointless. It's like, well, cool, like, I need to go, you know, drive to actually play this game that wants me to walk. So, yeah, it's kind of just a bad game. But Pokemon Quest, I'm going to double check Pokemon Quest because I'm pretty sure I've played Pokemon Quest. Oh, it's that one. No, I've not played that. Oh, no, that one goes there then. Cool. Download that image because I like to have a picture of it. No thanks. But yeah, that is my empirical / opinion list of Pokemon games. I think it is a very fair list, to be honest. But yeah, hope you all agree. If you don't agree, that's fine. Tell me in the comments down below. It's fine. I don't mind. Games like what was it? You did Bannerlord, was confusing getting set up. New to PC gaming to start with State of Decay 2. You've been playing a lot of CK3 at the moment. It's really nice. Too much grass touching in Pokemon Go. Exactly. Who wants to go outside, right? Like, come on now. We can do this. We can just let me play from a seat in my like house. Generally speaking, though, Ashkat, honestly, Bannerlord is, you know, basically Bannerlord, all you have to do is run around, recruit some people, and stab bandits, and you're pretty much sorted. It doesn't take long after that to figure out the game. But generally speaking, just go on the Steam go on Steam, look up games you like, or look up games you think you'd like, and go from there. That's your best way to do it. That's how I find games to play. So that, if you know, that helps, I hope. But yeah, I'm not really probably going to be the most useful in that regard. Yeah, I think that's yeah, it's pretty much all I have to say, really. I was gonna say all I have to touch because I just looked at the comment, go touch grass. But yeah, I hope you guys have all enjoyed. I do apologize, it was a short stream than I expected it to be, but honestly, I think it's probably good that it's a short stream as I have actually got stuff to do this evening. So I hope you all enjoyed the stream, and I'll see you all for the next tier list stream, which will probably be easier for me to do because, you know, I've probably played more of the games than, you know, less than fucking a third of them. Jesus Christ, I haven't played that many games. I do apologize about the short one, but there will be, if you're ever interested in what streams I've got, there is always upcoming streams listed on the live page. So if you want to get a notification for any specific stream, just go check them out. Click on the stream itself, click on to get notified, and YouTube will send you an email, which will be useful. But outside of that, I apologize, it's a short one, but I'll see you all in the next stream. See you guys then. Peace.